Let me recognize the Senior Minister Stephenson King, the Minister of External Affairs, Honorable Alva Baptiste, the Minister of Youth Development and Sports, the Honorable Kenson Casimir, the Minister for Home Affairs, Dr. Virginia Potts, Minister of Commerce, Ms. Emma Hippolyte, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Prosper, Permanent Secretaries, Cabinet Secretary, other members of the head table, including the Ambassador Chen and the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Housing. Good morning. This is the first public speech I'll be giving, and it's not going to be a speech, it's going to be remarks. First of all, I want to associate the Office of the Prime Minister with the National Housing Assistance Program, and I want to further say that the National Housing Assistance Program is part of our government's pledge to put people first. Putting people first is not a slogan, it's a philosophy, it's a way of life. It isn't something that we said to win an election. We really mean it. And in the projects that we are going to be delivering to the people of St. Lucia, the whole ethos and the philosophy of putting people first is going to be clear. And for the last 8 weeks, our projects and what we've done are really aimed at living that philosophy. And I want to assure the people of St. Lucia that it's only 8 weeks we're in government. Sometimes it sounds like 8 years. It really is only 8 weeks. Really, it happened on the 26th of July, 8 weeks away. And what we've done and what we are going to do signifies what we feel from the depth of our hearts, putting people first. People really matter. And whereas we have to ensure that the economy of the country, in terms of the ratios and the numbers, because that is the world we live in, that the economy looks good, we have to ensure that the infrastructure is okay, but the depth of our policies are going to be putting people first. And people means everyone. We're going to include everyone. The elections are over. Some people are not happy, that's expected. But the elections are over, and right now, this government is going to do what we pledged to do for the people of St. Lucia, that is to put them first. So I want to invite everyone. I said that some time ago, and I got attacked. I want to ask everyone to join, not the party, but a country. Join us in this big umbrella to do better for the people of St. Lucia. And what have we done so far? What have we done so far? And remember, it's 8 weeks. What have we done so far? We're launching the National Housing Assistance Program, and I want to thank the government and people of the Republic of China on Taiwan, and through the Ambassador, Mr. Chen. Thank you very much, Ambassador, and convey to your President our... What have we done? We are launching that program, $10 million. And I can tell you that the initial thinking of that program was not to see about housing for indigenous and poor people. That is a fact. It was meant to do other things that are important, but it was not meant for that program. It took the cabinet, through the minister, to convince the Taiwanese and the other officials that a more immediate need was to repair the houses of people in this country. So whereas what we wanted to do what the money was initially aimed at doing was to improve the infrastructure in a certain area. Needed. Because I said before, it's a matter of inclusion. Needed. But we sought the immediate needs were the poor and the underprivileged and the indigent. And yesterday I was speaking to a delegation from the World Bank, and I said to them, if you live in St. Lucia, you will see affluence. You go up north, there are lovely houses. When my friends come and I take them up north, because I don't live up north, I take them up north, they are amazed. What a beautiful country. You guys are doing well. And I'm happy. Of course, they're nice houses. But you have to go where people live. You have to take a few steps out of Castries. Just a few seconds out of Castries, behind my office. And you see where some people live. That is reality. And that program is not going to erase all the housing issues in the country. It can't. It's only $10 million. So it's not going to, we're not going to fix every house. We can't. And if anybody's expecting that, that's not going to happen. But as we're going to take one small step to improve the houses of a few people in this country, and I support and I applaud this venture. But I want to warn the Minister of Housing that the resources are limited. And when he said so, I had a look at the Minister of Sports, and he was telling me that the playing fields and the Mindufida Park needs to be improved, and the stadium. So the resources are limited. But what have we done so far? This is the housing project. We have ensured, and I want to take that mention, even the senior minister might think I'm seeing his fund, I'm not. We are in this thing together, in all a matter of the blue wave. And we have discussed and got the approval of Flow to initiate what is called the Home Communications Relief Bundle, which will provide relief to 5,000 households that will pay $20 a month with no installation costs, and they will receive the following package from Flow: broadband, one modem, a fixed line to include 100 local Flow fixed minutes, and 10 TV programs, religious and other channels, and they will get a box. 5,000 households in St. Lucia working with Flow will get that privilege. And that's important because we are living in a time of COVID. And you know that sometimes the government gets blamed for COVID. You said this now, you're saying something else now, and all sorts of things. Somebody even said I should be charged for murder. That's part of the life I have to lead. But the COVID situation, no one has found the answer or the solution to the COVID pandemic. We are all in the process of experimenting, and we are all in the process of doing a few basic things, observing the protocols, and don't shoot the messenger, and following the science. These are the only things we can do right now, and most importantly, vaccinate. Most importantly, vaccinate. So while we're doing that, life must continue. And with this bundle from Flow, the people or the children who are at their homes will get internet access so they can follow their classes, and continue to live a life of normality in this crisis. So I want to thank Flo and think that is another of the government's projects of putting people first. Still on putting people first, there was a cry again from low-income people. And you know, we must always put ourselves in people's shoes. And there's a saying that says, he who feels it most knows it. For many of us in this room, $150 may mean nothing. But for many people, $150 is the difference between meals for themselves and their family for a few days. Difficult to understand, but real. $150 may be a lot, is a lot for them. So what did we do? With the support, and sometimes we had to take some teeth out of the Ministry of Finance, we got $2.6 million to pay facility fees for all the students of the country. And I want to thank the officials at the Ministry of Finance for buying into that vision and making, and in real trying times, making that facility available so we can support and pay the facility fees for thousands of parents to support their children. Thousands. And whilst I'm there, at the end of the month, we hope to be able to pay CXC fees in English and maths. English A, I was told to say. English and maths for the children who are sitting the CXC exams in June. Putting people first. Really putting people first. Putting people first also extends to the people who assist and who help us to live a more comfortable life, even in this crisis. And I speak about the people who are in the forefront of the battle against the COVID pandemic. And I'm very pleased to announce today that the vehicle concessions that were given to them, to the policemen, the nurses, the doctors, and the other public sector employees who are in the forefront of the battle against COVID, these concessions, these vehicle concessions, are going to be extended until September 2022. Again, another of our projects. And within the constraints of the financial situation, and I must tell you, it's tough. The financial situation is challenging, but with understanding, we are going to come through it. It's challenging, but we are going to come through it. We've also agreed and decided that the people who get public assistance, again, the $250 to the lady with the child with autism, and the lady who lives in the George Charles Boulevard, places we pretend to forget. The $250 that they get every month. I've asked the officials at the Ministry of Finance that when the civil servants get their salaries, please ensure that these people get their $250 together with the civil servants. Because we need it to pay our mortgages. We need it to pay our car loans, but they need it to eat. And we have to understand that a country cannot develop if one sector of the society is going up by leaps and bounds and another sector is going down, down, down. So with the cooperation, the assistance of the officials to the Ministry of Finance, we are going to make that happen. We are going to make it happen. We have to ensure that these people, because it's $300, you know, it's $300 or $350. It's money that we spend, but for them, that's all they have for them for the month, and that's all they have to feed themselves. Healthcare. We understand the COVID crisis, and we applaud and we thank the nurses and the doctors and the first responders and those who are involved in that struggle. This afternoon at 2:30, we're going to be at Victoria Hospital to assist the nurses, because we're trying to give them some more support, some more personnel to help them in the fight against COVID, to deal with the loneliness of people in isolation. And the other cries, lock the country, lock the country, lock the country. Of course, we have to consider these things. But I want to tell you that the mental and the psychological stress of isolation, we must always put ourselves in other people's shoes to know what someone feels when they are in isolation. So this afternoon, we're going to be going up to Victoria Hospital to see if we can make life a little better for these people. But very soon, we're going to make a major announcement on St. Jude. Because we cannot allow people to undergo what's happening at the stadium. It is a cry, it's a cry against the basic humanity to allow people to go through their illness at what's happening at St. Jude. So this government will leave no stone unturned to improve the condition at St. Jude and to allow these people a better quality of care. And again, I want to thank the doctors and the nurses and the people who are working at the St. Jude Hospital. You must have heard in my titles, the youth economy. And some young people are asking, what's happening to the youth economy? Coming soon, very soon, we'll be making our first statement, and our first project under the youth economy will be very soon. I can assure you, before the end of the year. But having said all that, I want to tell the officials that we demand transparency and accountability in the execution of that project. We need full accountancy and transparency. And this government is going to ensure that there is transparency and accountability in everything that we do and everything that was done. We are not involved, and we will not be involved in any witch hunt. We're not going after anybody we don't intend to make anybody cry. What we want is an account of what transpired before to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And we are going to leave no stone unturned within the resources that are available to us to ensure that there's transparency now. And we've taken a few positions that many people may not know. We've said that anybody who is on a statutory board of the government cannot be involved in any activity involving that statutory board. Anybody. So if you're in the business of accounting, you cannot be in a sanitary board that deals with these things. Because we have to lead by example. And the example must come from the sanitary boards of the government. So we will limit or we'll try to avoid all conflicts of interest. You cannot be on a government board because you want to have connections to organize yourself. Not under my watch. And I've led by example in my management consultancy business that I've had from the year 1991. I have relieved myself from any activity that relates to that business. I am no longer in management consultancy practice. I've relieved myself officially, and it's going to be a document lodged in the registry to take myself away from it so I can not be involved in any management consultancy business, so that there can be no conflict of interest where I'm involved. And all my ministers will have to ensure that there is no conflict of interest in the activities. There must be transparency and there must be full accountability, because we are in this business not for all the time. I'm not going to be Prime Minister forever. No one has to remind me.
Just 15 years.
So, but when I leave, I want to leave with my head high, knowing that I've done my best for the people of St. Lucia without rank or pity. So I want to again to thank the government of Taiwan and to say that tell the Minister of Housing, the Minister of Housing, that initiative is welcome. I want him to ensure that, as I said, there's transparency and there's accountability. And I also want him to understand that we are very pleased with the vigor and the vitality in which he has approached his work. But sometimes he must exercise temperance, because resources are limited and he must not put the Minister of Finance under undue pressure. And Isai Hall, don't want you to have any jokes about me. There's a joke that Isai Hall gave that is a classic. I'll never forget it. I wouldn't mention the person's name. Isai Hall was talking about somebody who is on both sides of the political fence, and he said the fella is split in the middle. Thank you very much.